Welcome to I Love My HBCU ? The podcast where we express our undeniable love for HBCUs, but where we are also not afraid to address a few tough questions. So, sit back, learn a little, love a lot, and rep your HBCU. Hello, good people. It's another episode and another reason to love your historically Black colleges and universities. I felt like saying the whole thing today as opposed to just saying HBCUs. Today's topic that our Gen X advocates have thrown at us, Chinedu, is normalizing racism. And let's start with, I'm sorry, Chinedu, how are you?
I am well, just well.
I know, right? Listen. The reason why I was just about to start is I've been experiencing a few things related to this topic, and so I was ready to go in hot. And I was like, Chosen, that's not nice. Why don't you welcome your guest first and say hello to him? So I just for kicks and giggles, for those who are watching, for those who are watching, you already see. But for those who are just listening, Chinedu has on a lovely black shirt today with the words Carnegie, Murphy, Welcome, Harper, Holmes. What else is on that shirt, Chinedu?
Jenkins.
And for those who know, I'd love to see their responses in the comments, exactly what that shirt represents. I failed, by the way, and when you find out that I failed, especially those who know, you're going to judge me, and I'm perfectly okay with being judged. Now back to topic. Chinedu, when you hear normalizing racism, and we had a discussion with Gen X, so we kind of know where they were going with this, but when you just hear that, what comes to mind? What does that phrase evoke for you?
As of today, I would say being honest, I would say this presidency. Like
Oh,
when I think about it, funny. The first thing I don't think about is the black thing originally. I think about it from a cultural perspective. I think about somebody
okay.
like Marco Rubio, a son of an immigrant, being, the leader of the State Department, and just watching him make certain statements. I'm like, my goodness, that is the power of being in the in crowd. What it could do to somebody. That's the first thing that came to my mind. First thing.
That's wow, being in the in crowd, and can we both agree that that could be applied to more than just racism and this topic of conversation,
Absolutely.
and many of the isms and how we end
Absolutely.
up treating people once we are no longer on that side, but we're on this side instead. Um, but I paint a picture for some of us, and I've got it. Listen, like I said, I was about to come in hot, but the respectful thing is to absolutely let you talk first.
Hmm.
But paint a picture for us. Those who don't know, Chinedu is those who are listening and not watching. Chinedu is a proud Black man, a proud Nigerian, not just a proud Black man, but he
Hmm.
happens to be albino, which means there is depigmentation of his tone is the simplest way to put it. He will correct me if I'm wrong, but the simplest way to put it is that he does have depigment. Why can't I get that word out? What is up with me and
No,
words?
I have no idea.
Depigmentation. So, let me go there. So there was a clip of you recently on our platform, and there was, I'm gonna call it ignorance because I just don't like ignorance. I don't. I'm sorry. There was an ignorant comment on one of your clips where the person said, "Why are you guys allowing this white man to say these things about Black people?" And this was the what do Republicans get right episode. And I couldn't even focus on whatever point it is you were making that led to the commentary. I went straight to the jugular, and I need to learn not to do that. and shared with this person that you are a proud Black person who has every right to speak in the vein that you're speaking as a Black person, and I need them to educate themselves on what albinism is. I bring them up because I am mixed. I'm one of those human beings that's mixed, and I want you to share with us what everyday normalized racism looks like for you.
Mm,
I am mixed with regards to putting racism and ignorance in the same pot. Now, where they bubble up within that pot is a little different for me, but I put them in the same pot on most days because I find that out of people's ignorance, sometimes the things that come out of their mouths isn't particularly colored by race, but it's colored by if you just went a step further to try to understand, would you still say the same thing that you said? But okay,
mm.
when you do you experienced everyday normalized racism? And if so, give us an example, because I've got an example from a flight that I took recently that I am chomping at the bits to share.
Mhm. So no, I do not experience racism. Actually, I probably don't remember enough times that I experienced it, and I think that is probably why I'm a bigger advocate for these type of things because people look by me thinking that I may not be black, and then say things to people who
Wow.
visibly are darker around me. And more recently, like this happened. This is a multi-ism. This happened when I was in London of all places, a week or two ago, and I was there. We're on the train, me and a friend. We were heading somewhere, and it was these two gentlemen who were white, and originally they were like messing with these two girls across the train seat from me, across
Sure.
the tube or whatever from me, and first thing I did is American. So I told myself, American, mind your business. Just mind your business. Because it is not until I leave this country that I realize that whether we like it or not, Americans are very nosy. We just are. I don't care if you're black, white, or in between. We are like so involved. Like mind
We
your
get
business.
involved. We get
That's it.
involved.
But in this case, it's a good thing. So these two ladies, the gentlemen were being like very just brash and crass with their tone that I didn't like. But then I listened to the ladies. I'm like, cultural nuance is important. And
Mm,
one thing I do know about the Brits, like they kind of are, they have a little like that's kind of like their bit sometimes. Like they're a little bit crass at times with their, at least what I have seen on television and stuff like that. So I said, if this doesn't cross a threshold, I'm gonna leave it alone.
okay.
They were being annoying, and then I ended up talking to the two girls, and they were telling us like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "We're from America." Really? And they got so excited. So the girl scooted over to talk to me and my friend, and da 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 da. And what was interesting is they were actually telling us about terrible sexism that they experience at work. Very random story, guys. But I'm gonna have to say it. Like, there's a holiday party. This is how they said it. It's this holiday party that we have, or something, or this party we have at our office every year, and our bosses like to get really handsy.
Hmm.
But they said it in such a defeated way, almost as if
Yes.
it was normal. And again, my
Mm.
Americanism, I said, do not push further. The gentlemen were still bothering them, and one of them had like a crutch. The girls ended up, talking them off or whatever, and they got off the train. It was just me and my friend on the train. And the one with the crutch, I guess they were drinking. I don't want to say where they're from, but I know by the type of language, they have to be from Eastern Europe, that Belarus, Russian area. I could tell.
Okay.
So the guy had his little crutch or whatever it is, and he kind of like was putting it in my friend's face because my friend was closer to them. And he was laughing. And my friend kind of laughed it off, like, okay, put it in his face again. Okay. My friend said, like, stop. My friend's a little bit more soft spoken than me. I have time. That's all I can say. I have time. And I had to get up in his face and I said, stop putting that. And I just stopped myself now while I'm talking from not cursing, but stop putting that sugar honey iced tea in my friend's face. Like, do it again, and I'm going to beat your ASS, is what I said. I was very, very serious because you're not catching the drift. And what
Mm,
I knew in
mm,
that
mm.
moment, without them saying it, it's yet another moment where in my experience, where white people just feel like they own it all. Like they can do
Hmm.
whatever, especially
Hmm.
men. They can do whatever. And this is not just a race, it's a class thing because and a sexism thing, because look what they did to those two white women. So it's not just the
Okay.
us thing. So I
Okay.
got up and said it. The train falls to a hush, and they start mumbling. And then we sit down and they start speaking their language. And it's time for me
Fine.
and my friend to get off. And I hear the N word. Oh, ho, ho, ho. They had the right one. Turn around, approach them. I said, say it in my face. If you're brave, say it. Say it. They try to act like they didn't speak English. I'm like, no, no, no. You speak English. And at the very least, you know what the N word is. Say it again. You be brave. It's two of y'all. Say it to me. I'm ready. Say it. And I was very serious. They did not say it. We walked off the train. Then we're walking away. Um, and they got off the train. And he kept saying it, like louder. I said, right one, turn around, got up in his face. You gonna say it in front of me? You gonna say it in front of My friend had to literally pick me up and remove me. And the importance of that moment for me was to let him know you do not own this world. I don't care what you believe your privilege is, not with me and not with mine. And that has been such an experience. And sometimes the racist moments or whatever, and it wasn't just them being drunk, because you could have called me a filthy American. You said the N word. Like,
Mm.
the N word is not even probably in the lexicon of your lingua franca,
Of
but
your
you
lingua
knew it.
franca.
But you knew it. You knew it. And that's the thing. Hatred knows no language. So, those are the type of things that I've experienced. I've seen my friends experience. And again, it's funny that they said it to him and not to me because they probably didn't know I was black.
Ah, ah, ah. So you saw from all the contortions on my face that that's not where I thought this story was going.
Oh,
But it went there. I did not think that's where the story was going, and it went there.
neither did
And
I.
when our advocates, when our Gen Xers asked us to talk about normalized racism, I'm one of those people. And again, people who judge me, I'm okay with being judged. It doesn't bother me. But I'm one of those people who my immediate reaction was, oh, here we go again. Um, because I don't think everything is racism. I don't think everything is racist.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I also remind myself that it really also depends on the lens through which you are choosing to see the world.
Hmm.
And as you were telling that story, it actually affirmed to me why the students were like, we want you guys to talk about this. Because there's got to be something about these two persons that you mentioned on the train that gave them the cahoots, the what's it called, the cojones, as
Hmm.
some say, that
Hmm.
I'm gonna go there, right?
Hmm.
And whether we define racism as one having institutionalized power to blah 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 blah, whether we just define it as that, the reality is there's also a carrying out and exemplifying of the residuals of that power from day to day. And that's what I just heard you describe. And so
Hmm.
now in this moment, I am understanding why the Gen X advocate said, we want you guys to talk about this because just so that everybody knows, what brought them to we want to hear you talk about this is they believe that we are living in a world, especially in the United States of America, that almost everything around you is colored by racist views and racist way of doing things. And this is the example that they gave me at the time when we were having the conversation as to whether or not we should handle this particular topic.
Hmm.
um they've heard me say before that there is a good friend of mine who, whenever we have traveled in the past, he's always stopping me from getting out of the way. Just walking down the street, just walking down the street. It's a very simple act. And I was the one that brought it up initially, like, damn, how come anywhere I am, I don't care where I am in the world, white people don't get out of my way? And listen, guys, that might not be everybody else's experience who's listening to me. It just happens to be mine. period. And I have watched it in France. I have watched it in Costa Rica. I've watched it clearly in England. Absolutely every single place I go to in and what's it called in the US. It's a thing. And he's like, you know what, Tosa, next time, don't get out of their way. And I try to remember not to get out of their way. And what ends up happening is we bump into each other, and when we bump into each other, literally they turn and look at me like, excuse you. And I'm like, wait, pause. The excuse you is coming out of there's an expectation that you have that I'm the one that has to get out of your way and not vice versa. And this is such a simple, really, Tosin, are you going to call that racist? You don't have to. But that's what the students brought up as an example of, it's because it's become normal for them. There's a superiority with which some people walk this earth, that whether we like it or not, those on the other side of it feel the brunt of it. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh man, that is exactly what me and most of my friends talked about on this trip. We continue to talk. I mean, we usually go to more or less Asian countries for
Okay.
vacation, and they convinced us to do Europe. And we, I kept bringing up a lot of things that people didn't quite see, and I'm like,
Mm,
the racism is nuanced. Just it's not only nuanced, it's taught, and it's not only taught, it's marveled. Just I'll bring up three simple countries: Italy, France, Great Britain, UK, whatever.
okay.
Just little things. I just look at the train. I just look at the buildings. I was at the Tate Modern. I said to my friends at Tate Modern, I said, how many of us had to die for this to be here? Do y'all think about that? Like, do y'all know, like, these people owned people, and this country is beautiful. It's beautiful. But I think
Oh,
it's a normalization, and I'm
we're
bringing this back to the walking.
normalizing it.
It's a normalization of don't think about it. It just is. It's not really taught per se, like it's a class. I think it happens on both sides. The same way white people just inherently walk around like they own the land, black people walk around sometimes inherently in fear of be careful. Because I ask myself, the same way they don't think, why do we move? No one ever told me to move.
Yes,
No one
yes.
ever told us. So
Tosin, I shouldn't say always. I always
mhm,
used to move. I
mhm,
challenge myself not to move, but it's something I have to remind
me
myself
too.
to
And
do.
it's also a privilege of not having to be aware. Like
Hmm.
black people, we have to be aware because generally we are
So
aware
much.
people, but we also got to be aware of our surroundings. Like this is not just from a racism. It's I don't think people. It's a comfort thing. That's gonna sound crazy. Think about the movies when something's about to happen, and like the person looks up, oh no, then it falls on them. You know, Home Alone. What a privilege to not worry.
Hmm.
What a privilege to not think. Ignorance is truly bliss. They don't
Bliss.
have to think. They can go anywhere and say, this is ours.
Yeah.
It's my land. It's my rights, to the point that it's a lackadaisical kind of approach. So, me, I try to think about it as well. And I'm a big, broad shoulders man. So, when I'm walking and I see exactly what I know it is, them walking aimlessly, I'm like, well, maybe I need to be teaching. So, I stiff up my arms and to infinity and beyond. I get as still as I can. And what's interesting, when they hit me, they look shocked. And do you know
Mm-hmm.
why I believe that they're shocked? Because in their head, without saying it, I think they're saying, you were supposed to move, or nothing
Yes.
should be in my way. There shouldn't be an
Yes.
obstacle. Strange. It's very, very strange. And I think it's one of those multi-dimensional isms. It's not just
Yeah.
race. Go
It's
back to those
not
two
just
girls I told you
race.
about. They
Yeah.
said, yeah, the guy touches us, our boss, he touches it. It was a normal thing. And I'm sure that
Yeah.
boss feels that exact same way. I think race, the older I get, I realize that race, class is like the the bulldozer, the entire machine. And race is that shovel that's in the front. Like I think race
Wow.
is the first thing you feel. So you call everything race, but it is power. it is power. It's not just about you and I as black, and that's a great distraction. It's also about that poor white man too, that
Absolutely. Absolutely.
uneducated white man as well. Like that's this aristocratic, I'm better than
Wow.
you. You see it with MAGA. For those who've ever watched Roots, remember the guy who owned Chicken George. He owned land and slaves, and they made fun of him because he didn't have an education, because he wasn't as smart as the other aristocrats. Doesn't matter that he was a landowner and a slave owner too. Even he wasn't enough, because it's a power
Absolutely.
thing
It's
first.
power. It's power. It's power. It's oh, this I'm holding myself back on so many levels because there's so
Oh.
much I want to say. There's so, as a woman, there's so much I want to say about the example that you gave and what women experience. And go back to the fact that a lot of guys just dismiss it because we're reading too much into those things. But why do I want to just be touched inadvertently by you? And I'm reading much into it when I call it something. There's just so much going on in my head. But I want to give my example before I go to. I'm still going to do a rapid fire. This one's going to be tricky.
Was hoping you were going to
Lord,
forget.
it's going to be tricky. Listen, I've seen the questions that they've sent. I'll still ask them, but this one's going to be tricky. But before I ask, those who get to watch as opposed to listen, I wear my hair big, curly. For the record, it's not my all growing natural hair, but it's type 4C, blah 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 blah. So on my way back from a flight from the United Kingdom a month ago. Yeah, listen, no comment. But I was not sitting to a British lady. It was an American lady that I was sitting next to. I was literally bending down to pick up something, and I was an aisle seat. I did not have my head turned to the right. I turned to the left instead. If I remembered the exact flight number, I would give it, including the seat number. Not that I want to call her out, but I slightly do want to call her out. So, unless I wasn't in first class, for the record. If I was in first class, I don't have to see what's on your phone, but she decides to text on her phone. This black monkey with her big hair is in my space. I'm not like you. I'm not big, bad. That's just not me. However, I said to her, I said, I can read. We're seated so close to each other. I can read then why do you have your hair in my face? I said, and the kind of person I am, I have no problem apologizing. I said, my apologies. You could have just said, but I wasn't in your face. But you could have just said, you'd rather, could you please turn to the other side? And I would have done that. And it took less than 2 seconds to pick that up. But the language you use, I couldn't let go of that. The language you used to describe me, granted, this is your phone. You have every right to describe people as you so choose, but we're in a public space. I can literally see everything that you're writing. Um, is that warranted? I don't want to talk to her. I just don't want to, and she's now calling out for the air hostess. I don't want to talk to her. I just want to be in my own bubble. I don't want to talk to her. I'm like, what the holy F? What the holy F? I took several deep breaths. It was a full flight. If it wasn't a full flight, even I would have caused a little bit of a commotion for them to move me from that seat. Instead, no, I took a deep breath. I'm Catholic. I said a couple of Hail Marys. Said a couple of Our Fathers, and I said, God, just get me there, get me home safely. I was a little bit of a messy boots, because she's going to have to get through at some point in time to get up to use the bathroom. I was prepared to have this woman pee on herself and not get out of the aisle because I knew she wasn't going to want to walk by me once she had seated. But that experience and experiences like that, because unlike you, I'm not albino. I am very dark skinned. You see my skin tone miles away, which I'm absolutely proud of. Um, I don't get to say I don't experience normalized racism on a frequent basis. It is frequent. I actually have to tell myself, that's not what it is, Tosin. That's not what it is. Don't read into it. It's okay. I have to do that. And ooh, I want you to diagnose this for a hot second. I'm going to say what I was about to say. I was going to stop myself, but I'm going to say it. As I make these types of statements, Chinedu, I feel bad for my white friends. And I don't know why. But I feel bad for my white friends because the white friends that I do have, not only have I never experienced them talking to anybody in this manner, I can't in any way imagine this to be them, i.e., these types of people that I run into on a daily basis. Why do I feel bad?
Well, I don't know, but I don't have many white friends, but I'm always very leery because there's something else that I am. I am a gay male, same gender loving, and I'm gonna bring a comparison here. The reason why I don't have many white friends is because I think about something that is true to me as a same gender loving male. Um,
Okay.
if I had straight female friends, right, I'm cool. They're my bestie. They love me. They'll ride for me until they think I'm sleeping with their man. Then I'm all the F words as in FAGGOT and all of that. And I brought that up to say, like, I have experienced that as it pertains to whiteness, where I was at a conference and my white, like, it was all white people, darn near. It was just like four black people, it was all white people. And we were all close until I needed help, until I was in a moment. And I looked to my left and I looked to my right and nobody was there. And for that exact reason, it's a risk because when it comes down to it, I don't
Wow.
know who would shield. So like I'm very cautious. I'm not saying I don't like white people. No, no, no. But
Sure,
I don't
sure,
know if you're real or not. Because if I take that risk, remember, I'm the let the world tell it, the minority. I'm from the S whole country, let the world tell it. I am the powerless according to the social structure. Not the real structure, but the social structure.
sure.
That's a risk to depend on you. Because you're
Hmm.
so powerful that at any moment you can become Marco Rubio at any moment, at any moment, because all whites are not created equal. So I think even you feeling, even you having to think about it is just, it is the burden that the aware have to keep.
That the aware have to keep. I like that. It is it's a fact. It is the burden that the aware have to keep.
And
Wow.
can I touch real quick on that
Please.
monkey statement? If
Yeah.
she called you a black bee, I would have. But it's see the monkey, just like the N word.
It's it's
There's a
it's
history there.
there's a history there.
You
There's a
know
history
that.
there.
You know
There's a
that.
history there.
And she knew, she knew, no matter how we want to split it, she knew that nothing will happen to her. That's the thing, because you know what I wonder? I like to add some nuance. I wonder if you happen to have, if you are male and black, same thing with locks. I wonder if you happen to have maybe a yarmulke on your head. I wonder if she would have made the same statement, and I'm sure she wouldn't have. And this is not to be dismiss that anti-Semitism exists and it
It
happens,
does.
but because of the power, people are a little bit more apt to watch themselves. They can still be hateful, but they actually might watch themselves because at the end of the day, this is where it lies at. That person can actually do something to me that can affect me. This
Yeah.
black person can't do anything that can affect
Can't
me
do
because they're
anything.
lower of the barrel.
Jesus. Yeah, it's hard. It's horrible, not hard. It's horrible hearing it. But whether people want to agree or not, it's my lived experience actually, because it was very clear that there were two stewards in front of us,
Hmm.
and all they were trying to do, and I get it, was just okay. Let's wait this out. Let's calm the situation down. They weren't going to come to my aid for something like that, you know. And if Tosin now had decided to be what you stereotypically might view me to be, boisterous, defensive, offensive in that space, who's going to end up on the news as the problematic one? It will always be me, or more than likely always be me, not her. So
Yeah.
I was chomping at the bits to share that, because I don't experience things that overtly on most days. In fact, on most days I have to be like, wait, what was it? But that one was just like you said. You could have called me the B word. No, you said that black monkey. This, not that. This black monkey with all her hair in my face. Other than that, I'm waiting for the flight to take off.
Because black people are the only ones with the big hair that's in the place. You wouldn't have called Dolly Parton a monkey or anybody with hair like that a bouffant.
It'll be, oh, this lady with a big bouffant. That's
That's it. You just get to
that.
be. Mm,
Okay,
mm.
okay. Chinedu. I know you don't want it, but I'm throwing the rapid fire at you because it's
Let's
what
do
I
it.
do.
I'm heating up. Let's do it.
Oh, I don't love this one. This is the first rapid fire that I was like, ooh. I vetoed a lot of questions because I'm a wuss.
Ah, it's okay. It's okay.
Let's get to it. All right, 67 seconds on the clock. Affirmative action or tokenism?
Affirmative action.
Affirmative action. Affirmative action. I want us to come back to that. Secretly hate me or tell me to my face.
Tell me to my face.
Let's come back to that. Ooh. Ah. Okay, this is unfair, guys. He's a guy, but let's throw it at you anyway. Which is more upsetting? Pretty for a dark-skinned girl, or you speak English well?
Pretty for a dark skinned girl.
Pretty for a dark. I want to go. But we're revisiting all of these. This is just how it is, or that shouldn't be okay.
That shouldn't be okay.
Passive racism or performative allyship?
Damn. Passive racism.
Wow. Okay. Gosh. Okay. Last one. Which is similar. Call it out or keep the peace.
Call it out. There is no peace.
Okay, let's get to the last two, and then I'm gonna add. So these are the three that I want us to talk about, because depending on how it's worded, you kind of flip flopped. I don't know if you realized that, but you flip flopped. So I said passive racism or performative allyship. You chose passive racism.
Mm-hmm.
Call it out or keep the peace. You said call it out,
Mm-hmm.
which may not be in alignment with passive racism, just FYI. Secretly hate me or tell me to my face. You also said tell me to my face. I see what they did there. They asked the same type of questions in different ways. And they
Mm-hmm.
had you flip-flopping. Chinedu.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get it out of what's it called? Rapid fire, and just get to it. It sounds as if you are somebody that would rather the train incident, that the tube incident that you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
and you get an opportunity to confront the person, as opposed to the friend whispering to his other friend, oh, I think that end over there, blah 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 blah, and they think it and then smile in your face. You'd rather the former. Why?
I
Because
could
I
actually.
used to be that, but I don't know
Mhm.
if that's me anymore. So tell me why.
It remains me. I need to see it. Because if I see it, I can possibly stop it. Not even stop you. Protect me. It's actually not about you.
Okay,
Look at
okay,
it. Look at
okay,
it like
okay.
this. Think about a fight. If I was coming behind you, what can you actually do? I've already impaled you from just being behind you. You don't even know I'm there. But if you're in front of me, you may still get impaled, but there's a better chance that you can do something to at least subvert it. That's the way I looked at it.
So I used to look at it that way for a very long time. I'd rather I know. The older I'm getting, honestly, Chinedu, just stay over there with it. See, you like to use these aggressive, in your face examples as we have these types of discussions, which I respect it. I get why. But that's not life every day. At least that's not my life every day, where I find myself, in a
Mm,
fight. That's not my life every day. So because that's not my life every day, I've been asking myself, do I really need to know that you don't like me? Do I really need to know that you hate me because I'm black? Do I really need to know all of those things? And I think I'm getting to a point where I don't know if I fall in one boat or the other. But I'm beginning to question whether or not I feel as strongly as I used to feel when I was younger. Because when I was younger, I was you. Don't catch me off guard. I want to know what benefit, other than the one that you've listed, which I think is extremely important. You said, wouldn't you rather, so that you can protect you? That's what you said, so that you
mhm,
can protect you. And I respect
mhm,
that. I respect that.
mhm.
Let's put that aside for a hot second because I don't always know if I can actually protect myself in every situation. So I'm going to put that aside for a hot second. Other than that, what's another reason as to why it benefits you in any way for you to know that Tosin hates you? What's the benefit?
Survival. I think we keep forgetting. You made a very funny statement that almost sounded white to me, where you said, stay over there. If they stayed over there, you wouldn't be over here. They don't stay over there. History shows that they go wherever the hell they want. That's why I want to know, because they're always coming. They're always coming. And I don't mean this to be like super facetious, but when you were talking, I just thought about we were so over there or where we were in Africa. Y'all were doing your own thing. And y'all came and bundled us up. And then after that was finished, y'all kept dividing up our country. And it kept dividing up our people and our currencies and killing our Pan-African leaders. They will not, that's the problem. Black people need to realize that they will never, it is not in their nature, at least by facts, that they mind their damn business. Do you need my proof? Just go and look at all the news articles today. What other country that we're going into that is not ours, that don't look like us? We will never stay there. So I need to know so I can be protected, so I can build a deterrence, right? Like, because sometimes that deterrence can be my own safety. Like, I'm thinking about women in hospital. Is it not true that women in hospital who are giving babies have like this low mortality rate because doctors don't believe that they have where's that thought coming from? See, I think we forget about sometimes the I'm not in your face saying you're a black monkey. Something she can take that. She can handle more. That's my whole thing. Like that's going to always be my perspective, and that's very very important for my life to live, especially because I come from a people that is very community based, that lives on community and caring and kindness. I mean, that doesn't mean we're perfect, but if I now fall for you being a part of my community, it's that whole Bible for the land thing again. No, that's my point of view.
Sinedu, I smiled as you were talking because what popped into my head was respectability, right? And gosh, we're trained so well, Tosin. Uh, ah, yeah. I'm still gonna ask it. Damn.
Come on.
Yeah, what role does respectability play in keeping racism comfortable for those in power? And I think I just exemplified it uh by
A
what I said earlier on. But go ahead. Go ahead.
respectability is a tool to keep
It
you
is a
weak.
tool. It
I don't
is.
care what. No, listen. I'm going to break this down in the easiest way possible. Even if you think VP Harris was a piece of shit,
Oh, I don't
on
like that.
paper, she was better than anybody running, just on paper. More experience. And look how she had to be. He could be whatever. He could be overweight. I'm going many levels. He could not say anything intelligible. Do you notice how no one tells that other person not to step their vocabulary up, but we have to step ours down? Interesting, right? The respectability helps nobody. It actually even enslaves you outside. What am I talking about? I'll give you an example. And I will not say any names, but I was with a group of people in London at this fine Nigerian Ghanaian restaurant. And we were having akara. And akara is, if I'm not mistaken, it's like a beans that is fried and you can put stuff in it. Egg is what we usually do, but this is a fancy place, so they stuffed it with prawns or chicken or lamb. I was the only Nigerian at the table. And you know what I watched? All black people pick up a fork and knife. All black people. This is a finger food. It's a finger food by its nature. But respectability says you have to look clean. Ain't that crazy? But guess what? They wouldn't use a fork and a knife to eat a hot dog. That's the problem with respectability. It makes you hate yours and love theirs. It makes you feel like and it's very, very,
It's
it's
subtle.
very, very, it's very, very hidden. You don't even think about it until you think
Yeah.
about it. They didn't even
Jesus.
know that that was taking place. That's that thing, that respectability that only one person, let's get into it, only one person is expected to get. How many J6ers died on that day? Zero. They all were able to be arrested. Let that have been me. All of
Hmm.
us would be dead, if not half of us. Respectability. You can't do what I can do. Stay in line. You can't do that. You can't be great. You can't make differences. You can't even help. That's what I think because I think where it comes down to, back to the power, leave the race alone, where it comes down to is, gosh, this one scene from A Bug's Life. If anybody knows the Pixar movie, the ants had to pick food for the grasshoppers. And the one grasshopper said, those ants outnumber us 10 to 1. And the moment they figure that out, what happens to us? And that's where the end of the movie, the ants figured it out and they won or whatever. But
Yeah.
that's such a strong moment. That's such a no one else has to think. Donald Trump is adult. I don't care how anybody feels. He is not intelligent, at least by what a president's standard should be. But he got 2 terms, with convictions,
With
with
conviction.
convictions. So that's where I think like this whole da 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 da. No, we keep doing that and we lose. We keep doing that and we fight the internal battle while they're
Yeah.
building external armor. So now we're
Jesus.
so, to their words, we end up becoming so woke. We can speak a spiritual and we can sing and we shall overcome. And they have barricades, barracks of a
And that
physical
becomes a
barrier.
threat.
And
Yeah.
we're only in the head. I don't believe in it. Well, it will not help. Will not help you at
So
the end of the
so
day.
so
Sorry.
Chinedu, no, don't apologize. And this is where Tosin just becomes slightly deflated. I'm just going to be honest with you. As I listen to all of this, right? Because you still have to live, you still have to exist, and you can't carry all of that on you and with you all of the time. Is it fair then to state that racism can never truly be eradicated and it's just something that will evolve into different variations of society. Is that fair?
As long as
Be,
human
be,
beings
be,
are human. Oh, sorry, keep going.
as long as human beings, no, as long as human beings are, because I want to tell you what inspired me to ask that question. I don't watch cartoons or animated movies, so every single time somebody mentions one, I'm listening with rapt attention so that I can get the point of what they're saying. I don't know why, it's never been my thing, but it's never been my thing. But Lord have mercy, if the example you just gave about the ants, you didn't see me mouth it when I said, like, I you literally said, "Are we the ants?" as you were giving that example. Um, Although I don't know if we're going to be successful in, that part, that if we want to really, really have that conversation, is a source of fear for, I think, a good number of powerful white Americans, them being outnumbered, which they are, by other in several different levels. Um, that's a conversation. That's a
Mhm,
conversation that I
mhm.
wonder who's ready to have it. We're ready to have it, but that's not a conversation we just have with ourselves. That's a conversation that requires people to look in the mirror, right? And admit that some of these actions that you're taking is coming from a place of fear. Some of these actions that you're taking is coming from a place of, I better offend before I have to defend myself against the ants, right? So yeah, I that's what made me ask that question. That because it is an ant and a grasshopper, literally, and to your point, they will always be building their armor as we have these internalized conversations amongst ourselves. Can racism ever truly be eradicated? Like, is that even possible?
No, because in theory, it's good for business and it's good for, unfortunately, weak men. I find myself thinking about the Bible a lot. It's so funny. I always make this joke as somebody who doesn't really go to church as much, but the Bible is such a great tool because when you look at that good book, those stories, it's timeless. It's
Yeah,
timeless. It's told 100%.
I would agree.
Do you remember when they said, crucify him, crucify him? I think what Pontius Pilate said is, why? What has he done? But Pilate was weak and he wanted to be accepted by his people. That's why the ism is not only race. Race is just a very interesting, because even with Jesus, they were talking, he's just a carpenter's son. We hear that now, uneducated, low IQ, same type of talk. And what's funny is the people who are doing that should be the ones uniting. Because back to A Bug's Life, they were able to win
Mm,
because they had a
mm.
group of these ragtag caterpillars, butterfly, spider, ladybug, and a stick. I don't know how Pixar snuck that in there, but that is why I'm upset at Marco Rubio. Because my success is your success. My pain is your pain.
Is your pain?
If we could all, because the truly the enemy of the people are the people who are making other people the enemy. That's
I
it.
get it. I
That's it.
hope enough people listening to you get it, because I get it. And it's not a matter of you being right or wrong. Let's be very, very clear. This isn't a matter of you being right or wrong. It's a matter of just understanding
Hmm.
some foundational concepts with regards
Hmm.
to the point that you're making. And
And and
listen, let's
I challenge
go
to
ahead.
ask when you said, like, because we still had fun on our trip. When you asked the question, like, how does one supposed to live? And I'm gonna go back to my wonderful Israeli Jewish cousins. Live like they do. Remember when October 7th happened? They were at a
Mm-mm.
concert, correct, or something of that nature. People were at a concert or something like that.
Social, something
Social,
social.
it
I
was a
don't remember
social
the
event,
exact
right?
thing, but it was a social
It
event.
was a social
Yes.
event. But do you know what else existed at the same time of that social event? The Iron Dome. You must do both. You must
Yeah.
have both. You
You
must
must have
prepare,
both.
plan, and play. And you have to find a way to do them all succinctly. That's how I feel. I don't think there's any person in almost any group like their children in Gaza are still playing. They're
They're
finding
still
ways to play because they
playing.
have
Yeah.
to.
They
But they
have to. They
must
have to.
also prepare.
Agreed.
They must prepare. And I think, ooh, I use the word warfare. It's not my word. It's from a Louis Farrakhan statement where he said business is warfare. It
Okay.
was a very interesting statement. The reason why I say warfare is because think about just let me just use the United States military for example. Think about
Okay.
people who go into submarines and people who go on the aircraft carriers. Do you know what's
Yes.
interesting about those people who serve very differently? Those two divisions, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, they have some of the best foods out of everybody else. While the other ones are eating those little MR whatever packs. Do you know why they have those foods that are very important? Morale. You need your morale. Eat a steak so you remember home and you don't think that you're in a tube underneath some undisclosed location.
Got it.
There has to be a duality. That's why I feel like you talk, and I do it with my friends. Like we're on vacation talking about black issues, worldly issues, LGBTQ issues, and we're taking shots as well because we need
Okay.
to do both. We
We need
can't
to do
pretend like it's
both.
not happening, but we can't not pretend like joy isn't happening either.
Agreed. Agreed. I think that's listen, I think that's a good play. I have so many more things I want to talk about. You and I always do this. We start and just talk and then all the issues just start flooding into my head. But before we get off, because we're supposed to be getting off soon. But before we get
How?
off, I know, right? I know. It's like we just started 2 seconds ago. That's us. Before we
Hmm.
get off, I am curious if you can give any insight, if you have any, on
Hmm.
how racism shows up a bit differently within Black spaces like HBCUs. I want to bring it back home
Mm.
with regards to Black spaces like HBCUs. How? Because you and I can talk about racism all day long. I can, maybe more so than you, as it is
Mhm.
felt by a Black person. How does it show up on HBCU campuses, if at all?
Oh, I'm gonna go there and they're gonna kill me, and I'm okay with
Oh,
it. I'm just gonna use the Black Greek letter organizations, for example. You know, from my experience, it shows up with, you know, the idea of colorism, right?
okay,
That's
okay, okay.
so I'm not gonna go too far, but
Don't go too
you
far.
you see
I'm
levels of like
joking.
internal no internal colorism and how because what happens remember I love to say this and they're one example but they're not the only example right
Of
because
course.
remember after a while right it wasn't just the quote unquote slave master doing the thing
Yeah,
it was the overseer right we see the Django we saw Samuel Jackson's character you know who is
absolutely.
this nigga he said like why is this nigga on a horse and he's a black man, even darker. Very, very good casting. He was even darker than the person he was called. But that is the mental psychological thing. What I see on HBCU campuses a lot is it's
Hmm.
it's not the direct racism that we think because we're all here, we are all one. But there is very big divisions that I think even in today that makes it difficult to my other recordings about why certain activist movements are not happening because maybe it's that's those people you're too pretty to be doing that right or you're too this to be doing that and sometimes you see it on how they hire. I ran into a gentleman I'm going there. I ran into a gentleman in New Orleans, a young boy. We're sitting in line for Popeyes at like 1 in the morning. It's that good. And I saw a Morgan State shirt and I got so excited. I said, "Tell me about your major." And he said, "I'm an engineer. I love engineering." I said, "Oh, said I started as an engineer as well, but I said, that math was a little bit too much." Uh, but I got excited because this is what I was taught you're supposed to do. You're supposed to engage these people. And I'm still a young man. So like I'm a young man seeing a younger man. I'm like, oh my God, this is the adult moment. Like this is what being an alumni is about. I'm like, I'm gonna buy your food. And I'm like, tell me about your program. Because I happen to have been an engineer and I know a lot about that program. He said, well, if I'm being honest, I don't see people that look like me. I said, what you mean? The professors aren't black anymore. I said, huh? I said, when I was an engineering student, you were hard pressed to find anybody that wasn't. And he said, that's not what I see. I've seen people from other cultures and other things, and that's great. But what inspired me to be an engineer was to come to a black school and see black engineers teach. And I bring that up to say, I'm sure there's a nuance of reasons that that is the truth. Um, but that idea of some people's ice being colder
Hmm.
is real at many of our institutions, where it's like, we want a little bit, couple of more faces to make it feel comfortable. I was on a flight where I was in Budapest at an airport. There was no black person in a picture, not one. I'm black. I still
You're in
came to Budapest,
Budapest. Yes.
and I still came to
Okay.
Budapest.
Okay.
Fair
Okay.
enough. But the point I'm making is back to the moving away. It's posturing. It's we need maybe a couple of more white faces to increase funding. It's we need to make ourselves seem more global. No one else has to do that, but we must. And there are many nuances there, but that is what I've seen, at least from my eyes. And that young man, he looked disheveled to not see enough engineers. And think about this. I was an engineer. I was in the program. I walked on, I knew all, I didn't go to class, but I knew the people. I couldn't stop seeing black people. And for us to just be a couple of years removed, that's it. And his experience shouldn't be, it shouldn't be downplayed, right? Because I do believe there is a whiteification of HBCUs. There is. There is a whiteification of black spaces. Some by us and some by others.
So, listen.
You didn't think it was gonna go there?
Um, no, I
Continue.
love. Listen, number one, go everywhere. And I'm gonna say this. I was in conversation. Myself and a couple of the Gen Xers were in conversation with someone from a corporation last week, and the person asked us the question: are these types of conversations happening at college campuses? And I did not answer. The Gen Xers did, and they said that's why we have I Love My HBCU question mark. And it warmed my soul, because the reason why we started this platform is because, if I'm being bluntly honest, I did see these conversations not happening at a lot of college campuses, not just at HBCUs, at a lot of college campuses, whereby it's sanitized. And if whatever it is that you're talking about is not in alignment with whatever the political agenda is, or the financial agenda is, which in some regard I actually understand, but there must be a space where our young ones must be able to just talk about these things, regardless of whether or not they're agreed with. So I still have that to say that, listen, Chinedu, we're going to have many more of these conversations through the years. We're going to encourage as many of our young college students, Black and otherwise, to continue to start in some cases and to continue in some cases having safe discourse, civic engagement in the form of discourse, without them feeling attacked by it because you and I may not necessarily agree with or on the exact same issue. I look forward to that happening. I look forward to us being a channel, and I do mean a physical channel, of making that happen for the next generation. Chinedu, as
Mhm.
always, end this episode for us. Whew, one short word or phrase. We normalize racism when we.
Ignore our experience.
On that note, I
I,
believe this with every. Go
no,
ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
just
He's
got.
like, you can't end it. He said, you
I
can't
gotta
end
talk
it.
to my HBCU students.
Please,
Just
please.
I am an activist at heart. Always have been, but have these topics. Be brave. Be bold. It is scary. it's scary for me. Originally, I didn't want to do any of these things because I also want a good job. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
wanted to keep other people happy, even though it hurts me, right? That's you getting bumped by that person while you're walking. That's you being a black monkey and maybe having to put your head down. But be brave and bold. Like, the truth of the matter is, I'm gonna keep it real. There, we're not three-fifths of a person by law. There is not a dog being sicked on you. There's so much more opportunity for us that our elders couldn't imagine. At the very least, talk about it and don't stop talking about it, because that's how something happens. It has to keep existing. It has to germinate. Has to germinate so that dreams like Martin's can become like realities like Obama's, realities like his
Mm,
wife, realities like Oprah Winfrey, realities like Tyler Perry, these successful black people that possibly could have probably never existed during those days, that have ownership. Ownership. Just keep talking. If nothing else, never shut up. Because that, I think, is why that First Amendment, I don't know if those founding fathers knew what they were doing. They were speaking, and speaking isn't only talking. Instruments, dance. We are African. We can express through all types of forms. We gyrate, we move. We are spiritual. Like, keep doing all of your creativity that you can. Just don't give up on talking about it.
Chinedu Nnamdi Nwokea for CNN. I mean this when I say this about every guest. This podcast is not possible without you. I find it impossible for anybody to listen to you and not go ahead and like this episode because of the guests that I have on. And I hope that I have done my due diligence in getting you to subscribe to I Love My HBCU ? So that you never have to miss out on these amazing conversations. We're going to be having more of them, hopefully somewhere close to where you can actually join us in person very soon. Yours in HBCU love. See you next episode. Chinedu, as always, thank you so much.
Thank you so kindly.
You've been listening to I Love My HBCU ? Let's keep the conversation going as we share our stories and encourage more practical support of HBCUs, whilst of course holding each other accountable. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for the latest episodes. Until next time, love and lift your HBCU.